Today's guest is Lisa Humphrey. She is a true testament to the power of personal transformation and resilience. When faced with a dire warning that she only had 6 months to live unless she made drastic changes to her life, she found herself at a crossroads. Overwhelmed by fear and self doubt, Lisa initially believed she lacked the self worth required to turn her life around. Faced with the challenge of getting unstuck from a life threatening situation she was in, Lisa embarked on a remarkable journey. Through sheer determination and unwavering commitment, she managed to shed an astonishing 215 pounds through diet and exercise. But that was just the beginning. Her journey didn't end with weight loss. Lisa successfully reclaimed her life, building three thriving businesses, starting to live a life she had always dreamed of. Through a powerful message of transformation in her coaching practice and health and wellness business, Lisa helps women break free from feeling stuck and guides them to a path of fulfillment that they were meant for. Her story is a testament to the remarkable change that's possible when you find the courage to rewrite your life's narrative. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation with Lisa. I've got a question for you. Who's the person you're being? Are you satisfied? It's okay. This is a judge-free zone, and it's exactly why I started the show. Welcome to Be the Person, a podcast for the brave and the curious who are ready to explore who they are fully created to be. I'm your host, Annie Randall, the adventurous one leading this investigative journey of transformation. By delving into topics and asking unexpected questions, we will discover the keys for unlocking our true potential and being our best selves today. You may be surprised by what you find when you let go of fear in order to discover the answers of becoming the person you were made to be. Welcome to Be the Person podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I am excited for you to hear from today's guest, Lisa Humphrey. I heard Lisa speak at a conference in Texas a couple months ago and was really drawn to her story. She is a life and health coach, a gym owner, and she has such a great testimonial. Welcome, Lisa, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and talk with you today.
Yeah. Tell us I know we'll go back because it's part of your journey, but tell us a little bit about you today and what you do.
Yeah, so today I am a life coach and I help people get unstuck. So whether it be something in their life that's just holding them back from getting to the next level of success, or it's something in their health and wellness world that's keeping them stuck, I help them in that arena, changing their mindset and really recognizing what the actual problem is, and then we heal it from the root up. I also own a gym. We do group fitness, personal training, and nutrition coaching. That keeps me very busy. And I find that the life coaching and the health coaching kind of go hand in hand because we have to like work on ourselves as a whole person, not only just physically and nutritionally, but also from a mindset standpoint.
I couldn't agree more. I think it is. It's all the same to me. Like if you want to get healthy, you got to do your mind, your body, your food, all of it in
All of
order to
it.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's total health, right? Total
Right.
health is it's the whole package, and if we only work on 1 or 2 areas, that 3rd area is what pulls us back down and gets us back into that place of being stuck again.
Yes. Well, I heard a little bit about your story in Texas when you talked, but I know that you lost a significant amount of weight. Can you share that journey and that story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I have lost to date 215 pounds with diet, exercise, and mindset shift. And basically, what started my journey was a massive health crisis. I was at home one day and I just wasn't feeling good. I mean, at that point, I was close to 400 pounds and I wasn't feeling well. I had a really, really bad headache, a headache like I'd never had before. And I laid down. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take some Advil and I'm going to lay down and it'll get better. Well, 4 hours later, it wasn't better, and it was a headache that was just like, I knew it was more. There was something else going on. And so, because I was so at that point, recognizing it now, so ashamed and embarrassed, I told my partner at the time, I said, I'm just gonna go out and get some milk. We don't have any milk in the house, and I want to make sure, there's some for breakfast in the morning. And instead of going to get milk, I drove myself to an urgent care. And I walked in the urgent care and they took one look at me and they're like, no. They're like, you need to go to the emergency room. My blood pressure was at stroke level and my EKG was significantly off. They weren't sure if I was having a stroke, if I was having a heart attack, or both. So they called EMS, they shipped me off to the hospital. I still had not told anyone that I was there at this point. And, you get into the emergency room and it's all just such a tailspin. And it 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 was rough for a minute. I was a nurse, so I knew what was happening. I knew what they were shouting out. I knew what it meant. I knew the drugs that they were giving me, and I knew that this wasn't good. And after they had made me a little bit more stable and things calmed down a little bit, the doctor walked in. He sat on the corner of my bed. He's like, "Today was your lucky day." And I just kind of shook my head. I knew. And he said, "If you don't make changes to your life, significant changes in the next 6 months, you will be dead. It's all up to you. We saved you today, and I don't know if we could save you again." That hit hard. I was in my 30s at that point, and I'm like, I could die in my 30s because I'm just not taking care of myself. And it wasn't like, you know, the heart issues and the blood pressure issues were necessarily hereditary. They were because I wasn't doing anything with my life. I was eating whatever I wanted. I mean, fast food several times a day. I remember at that point in time, I was drinking a case of soda a day, a case. And that was normal. That was normal. And I didn't, I wasn't raised in a home where mental health was talked about a lot because my parents were raised in homes where mental health wasn't talked about. They didn't know what they didn't know. And I think, looking back at it now, there was a lot of depression there. So when I got out of the hospital the next day, they kept me overnight. I had in the meantime filled my family in on what was happening. And I went back home and I remember I couldn't sleep that night. And I just was like, I'm afraid to go to sleep now because of what this doctor said. Like, what if this happens again and I'm sleeping and I don't recognize it and I don't wake up in the morning? All of this fear was pouring back in, and I was genuinely scared. I woke up the next morning and I'm like, I mean, I have so much weight to lose. I don't even know where to start. I had never in my life stepped foot in a gym ever. I didn't know the first thing about what it was like to go into a gym. And I thought about it and I'm like, well, I hear people lose a lot of weight by walking. I'm like, maybe I'll just start walking. And so I remember getting up and I put some clothes on and I'm like, I'm gonna walk to the neighbor's mailbox and back. And I lived in a normal subdivision where there was some distance between mailboxes, but nothing crazy. And it was all I can do at that point in my life to like put my clothes on, put my shoes on, tie my shoes, and get myself out the door without having to take several different rest breaks. And so I remember getting outside and I'm like, I was already winded. I was already tired. And that mailbox looked so far away. And I started walking one foot over the other. And I got halfway there. I'm like, I can't do it. I was so out of breath. I felt my heart racing. It was beating out of my chest. I was just told 48 hours ago that if I didn't change, I was going to have a heart attack and die. Like, is this what it feels like? I don't know. I remember it took me 45 minutes to get to that mailbox, 45 minutes to walk from my mailbox to my neighbor's mailbox. And I sat down on the ground and I just cried. I just cried. It was the realization of what was actually happening to me and how I just let myself go. I'm like, how could I have done this? Like, how could I have done this to myself? And I got back up. It took me another 45 minutes to get back home. And I knew I had to keep doing it. It was scary. My legs just I remember just the feeling of lifting my legs to put one in front of the other. It was like just lifting rocks. And so I kept walking, and each day got a little bit easier. And I'm like, well, I need to do more than walk because, the doctor said 6 months. I need to make some drastic changes. Before I had went into the hospital with the blood pressure issues and stuff, I was sneaking food even behind my family's back. So I would drive home from work from my shift at the hospital. I would go through the drive-through. I would eat McDonald's, and then I would come home and I would cook dinner for my family like nothing ever happened. I would make sure that like I threw the garbage away in another person's garbage can so no one knew. It was like my dirty little secret. And I was so tempted after I started walking to do that. But from that day, I never went back into a McDonald's drive-through because that was a trigger for me. So every day I walked and I just knew I needed more. I had made some changes in my diet and we grew up, my mom was on Weight Watchers, so I knew a little bit about nutrition, not a ton. They don't teach you anything about nutrition in nursing school. I wish they did because it's so important in today's day and age. But I made some changes into the nutrition, but I knew I needed more physically. The walking was great. I was walking then 4 and 5 mailboxes at a time, which was awesome compared to where I started, but I knew I needed more. The only thing I ever knew, I never played sports as a kid. I never went to the gym. I danced. So I'm like, I'm going to find an adult dance class because my body knows how to dance. Like, has to be like riding a bike. And so I found one that was, like, literally 2 blocks away from my house. Like, this is great. Like, it was meant to be. It's so close. Like, I could really walk there and walk back. Like, this would be great. So I called, I signed up, and I remember the first day I was really nervous. It's like, the first day of school for people, right? Like, you get really nervous and really scared. And I remember walking into this beautiful dance studio, and I changed my shoes, and I could see out of the corner of my eye, no one looked like me. Everyone was in shape. Everyone, um, everyone looked like they belonged, and I didn't. And I saw the whispers and I heard the whispers. Like, okay, again, my fault. I let myself get here, but this is really uncomfortable. So I got through the class, thought I was going to die. Like my body remembered how to dance, but it didn't remember how to dance at 400 pounds, right? And so I made it through the class, and I remember at the end, I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was uncomfortable. And as I was packing my bag, I saw the instructor walking over to me. And I'm like, oh, here we go. She's going to have something to say about how I look. And she just squatted down next to me and she looked at me and she's like, you move beautifully. Like it's still to this day, like gets me emotional because like I hadn't heard that in my life in so long. And to have a complete stranger walk up to you when you are feeling at your worst and tell you that you move beautifully, I'm like, okay. And I just picked up my stuff and I left. And I'm like, no, she didn't mean it. She must she just probably didn't want me to feel bad and just wanted to say something. And so I came back a couple more times, and the third time I was there, she just turned around and she's like, "Okay, what gives? Like, why are you here?" She's like, "Obviously, we're a dancer in your lifetime. I can see that, like, what is going on?" And so I'm like, "Listen," I said, "I know I don't belong in your class." I said, "But I'm here. I just want to lose like 30 to 50 pounds, and then I'm just gonna go have weight loss surgery because that's what I thought my only options were at that point." And she spun back around and she's like, "You're not having surgery." She's like, I will not let you have surgery." And I'm like, "Who's this lady to tell me that I can't go on with my plan?" And she was right. In 30 days, I lost 30 pounds. And she's like, "Give me another 30 days." She's like, "Give me another 30 days with you." And so I committed. I'm like, "Okay, I'll hold off another 30 days." Well, by the next 30 days, I was down 50 pounds and I was on a roll. I was doing it 3 times a week. I was walking, I was eating better, making better choices, cutting down on my nutrition. And then, just like we all do, I'm like, I got this on my own. I don't need to go back. Like I'll figure this out on my own. I'm on a roll. I don't need this anymore. And so I stopped going to class. And so the first week I didn't hear anything. The second week I missed class, she called me and she's like, "We're waiting for you." And she's like, "We are not starting until you get here. I know you were only 2 blocks away and there's zero excuse for you to not be here." And I'm like, that's when I felt like, okay, she really is invested in me. she wants to help. She truly cares about, me and my goals. I got in my car and went, and all of these ladies were just waiting. They're like, "Don't you miss another class. We were waiting for you." And it was for the first time in a very long time in my life that I felt included in a group and genuinely accepted for exactly where I was in my life. And so I just kept dancing. I kept dancing, I kept eating, and the pounds kept coming off. And then 2 more months into this, so now we're at like the 6-month mark, I was down about 70 pounds, and I'm like, "Okay, I need to start lifting weights." Knew nothing about lifting weight, knew nothing about the gym, but I'm like, I can figure it out, right?" So I joined a gym and I walked in and, they take you through the tour and show you how to use all the machines, and that's all fine and good. And then I saw that they had a fitness studio that had some classes in it. I'm like, "Oh, there's a yoga class. Like I could probably use some stretching." I'd heard, what yoga is all about. And so I walked into the class and I rolled out my mat and I sat down, and it happened again. The whispers and the staring and I just felt instantly like I was just in a corner all alone. I'm like, "What is happening?" Like, I don't understand. I came from this other environment at this dance class where everyone absolutely loved me and were excited for me to be there, and now here I am again, and they're pointing at me, and they're talking about me, and they're laughing. And so I just sat there, and, the instructor walks in, and, she's then whispering with everyone, and she walks over to me and she's like, "Oh, can I help you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm here to take yoga today. I've never taken yoga before and I'm really excited about it." And she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. You are just too big to be in my class." And I'm
Well,
like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I don't teach anybody of your size." I'm like, I'm like, "Do you I lost 70 pounds." And she goes, "Maybe if you lose another 70, we can talk, but right now it's a no."
that makes my heart
Mm.
hurt for you.
It was rough. It was rough because I was so proud of how far I've come to just be told it wasn't enough again.
Yeah.
And so I remember like rolling up my mat, every single eye in the room was on me. And I'm like, this doesn't feel good. And it really it knocked me down pretty good. And I remember having a couple days there where I did not eat on on my plan. I was an emotional eater, and I'm like, "I can't do this again. I can't let myself go back to where I was because somebody doesn't like me or somebody doesn't think I fit." And so I kept going to the gym. I avoided that class. I didn't go to that class, and I kept going. And at the 7.5-month mark, I had went into the locker room as I normally did, took my shower, and then with absolutely not a stitch of clothes on, because that's how we weigh ourselves, right? Ladies understand that. You don't weigh yourself with anything, not even a necklace. You take it off. And I stepped on a scale, and for the first time since high school, the first number was a 1, not a 2, not a 3, but a 1. That moment, I just sobbed on the scale. I'm like standing there with no clothes on, sobbing because I had finally done it. And I had gotten to know a lot of the ladies at the gym at that point, and they saw it too. And just the love in the locker room that day, as I was able to share that celebration with other people who had supported me in my journey, was incredible. And after that, I knew I needed to give back. The teacher at the dance studio was so gracious to give her time and her love to me, and we had become friends by this point. And she was helping me. She had started teaching the Zumba format, and she was into group fitness outside of the dance studio, and so I was kind of doing some of that. And um, I knew that I had to give back, and so I went and got certified to teach Zumba. I'm like, well, as a dancer all my life, this seems like the next step. So I did. I went and got certified to teach Zumba. The weight started coming off, and the day approached where my teacher had opened a fitness studio with a partner, and she's like, "Hey, we want to talk to you about something. Can you stay after class?" And I'm like, "Here we go." Because of how I had went through all of the other steps in my life, I'm like, they're gonna tell me that I have to stop, or like, what's wrong? And I instantly went back into that feeling of being not good enough. And so I waited after class, and they sat down and they're like, "Hey, you have come so far and you've done such amazing things and people respect you for where you've been. We we would we want you to come and teach yoga for us. Because, I mean, they were both very thin, very tiny ladies, and they're like, "We are unable to relate to someone who has weight to lose, but you can, and we want you to be on board." And I'm like, "No, absolutely not. Yoga's awful. I will never do yoga because of what happened to me at the gym." And they're like, "Why are you so adamant about not doing it?" I had not told anyone what had happened that day. Shared that story with them, and they're like, "That is not what yoga is all about. Yoga is so inclusive." And explained to me, like, this teacher must have just not been, very yoga minded, and was very, finicky with who was in her class and whatnot. So after a lot of like pushing, I did it. I completed a 200-hour registered yoga teacher trainer program and started teaching yoga to people who were in the midst of weight loss. I mean, because I knew what it was like to not bend over and touch my toes because my belly was in the way. I knew what that felt like. I knew what it was like not to be able to get up and down off the floor fluidly because I had so much weight on my body. I knew what it was like to try to stand on one foot when you weigh 300 pounds. It's your ankles can't support that comfortably. And so I was able to then take women who were so scared to do any kind of movement at all and teach them that yoga was a format that they could do for weight loss. So that was incredible. And then, like a year and a half after my journey had started, my teacher had decided that she was going to leave the partnership she was in. And I looked at her and I said, "We need to do this together." And she said, "Yes." And so in 2015, she and I, from saying yes, we were opening a fitness studio together, to open was 32 days. We opened a studio in 32 days together. And the goal was to give back to one person what she gave to me. She gave me my life back. And to be able to now be in a spot to help other people get their life back and get that weight off and get themselves healthy is incredible. It is the best feeling in the world to be able to do that. So in 2015, we opened a studio together, and the rest is history. Um, we've been in business now for 9.5 years, helping women all the time lose weight and have all of the firsts that I had, but have them in a community that loves you from the minute you walk in the door. A few years into the studio, I had noticed I had made one mistake on my journey, and I had only fixed two parts of me. I fixed my physical and I fixed my nutrition. I didn't touch my mindset. And I realized I was really holding myself and my clients back because I was still in the mindset of weighing 400 pounds. I wasn't in the mindset of weighing 180 pounds. And I would still go to the store and buy 3 or 4X clothes. I would still, you know, feel ashamed to walk out in clothes that didn't completely cover me from the neck down because I didn't want to be offensive to anyone. And realizing that I still sat with so much shame and so much embarrassment and so much just bad feelings, and feeling like just because I weighed a lot of pounds, that I wasn't a contributing member of society, that I shouldn't be here, that I wasn't wanted. And I got myself into a coaching program that really focused on healing. And I'm like, I know that this is the program I need to bring back into my studio to help my people. And so January 2023, I opened my life coaching practice, Northern Roots Wellness and Coaching. And now I've put the two together so that the studio meets the coaching, and everyone that I work with. We work on mindset, we work on physical body, and we work on nutrition so that we can hit the whole body and not just bits and pieces. And the results have been phenomenal for people.
Well, I so appreciate you sharing that story. And there's so much of that that I had no idea about. Like, I almost started crying for you in the yoga room of just, yeah, of the mindset of some people. And I think we both are connected in the way that we really want to form communities. We both grew
Yeah.
up at the gym where people belong and they feel safe. And it doesn't matter if you weigh 400 pounds or you weigh 100 pounds. Like,
Yep.
everybody's welcome and
Mhm.
everybody is part of that community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone is part of it. And, you know, I wish I could say, I say this a lot when people are like, you have a great culture in your space. And I'm like, I wish I could tell you that it was planned and this is the way I wanted it, but it's not. It's not at all. Um, it's community based. They formed it. They formed how we are working today. Sometimes, like, if we have a new person walk in the door, I mean, they are just scooped right up and taken and shown all around and given a tour and help them get their equipment that they need. And I'm like, wait, I want to meet them. Like, I would like to meet them. Can you bring them over to me? I would like to say hello. But our people are so amazing and they make sure that not anyone who walks in the door leaves alone. You walk in and you are a family from the minute you walk in, and I wish I could say that we planned it, but we didn't. We attract good people, and good people attract other good people.
Yeah. And it starts with the leader. So hats off to you.
Well, thank you.
As a busy mom and entrepreneur, eating healthy can sometimes be hard. But Thrive Market is one of the places I love to shop because they make it super simple, deliver right to your house. They have snacks, staples, everything that you need to be healthy at very competitive pricing. They are offering our listeners 40% off your first order. That link is in the show notes. Check it out today. You mentioned something in there about being depressed, and then, food was the mechanism that you used, and that also you had so much shame with this. And I think so many people can probably relate, whether they use food, credit card debt, whatever the vice is, everybody typically has something. And you said something else about keeping it a secret and not telling anybody. Can you talk to me a little bit about what happened mentally for you when you started to recognize this is tied to depression? Maybe you started to share a little bit about the shame and tell other people as they, when it's a weight loss journey, they see it. But I know they don't see what happens on the inside.
You don't.
To us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, the secretive was, when I was like at my worst, I was sneaking food, like going through the drive-through, eating it before I went home, throwing it in someone else's trash because I was so embarrassed. I didn't want my family or the people who loved me the most to see this because it was embarrassing. Like I didn't want people to know. It's almost like I felt like I could hate it. Um, I saw a quote that really kind of brought it all full circle for me when I was in that gym one day and it said, "What you eat in private shows in public." I'm like, so I was never really hiding it. The hiding it and the secret part was because I didn't want them not to love me. I tied so much of my worth to food and tied my worth to being loved, not by myself, loved by others because I didn't love myself at that point. I love myself now, but I didn't love myself then. But the secret part was because if they saw, they wouldn't like me. If they saw, they would think I was disgusting. If they saw, they would leave. When all along they could see, because what you eat in private shows in public. And so I wasn't fooling anybody. I just felt like I needed to keep it a secret, to hide it so that I would still be loved and still be accepted. So when you go through like a coaching program and you have to tie, what is actually really going on? I'm eating because that's the only way I felt love or fullness, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a chance of being alone.
Mm.
But if someone on the outside didn't love me, they would leave. Or if they saw what I was doing, they would leave. So that's kind of like the secret part. The depression part, until like much later, I didn't realize that was depression because again, like I grew up in a home that, my parents weren't very well versed on mental health because they didn't grow up with mental health awareness. And I think, now that they see me and I went through a coaching program and we talk and we're much more open about, mental health these days, like not only, just in our family, but, in our culture, they have the realization like, oh my gosh, like we totally missed that. We missed that, you started being depressed as a child around third grade. And then like it just got worse from there. And like, and helping my mom get through the fact that she missed something. That was a whole nother like part of the journey because, when I had to start being honest about like where I was at and how I was feeling and why I let myself get to the point and tying it back to that depression and anxiety, of course she feels awful because she felt like she didn't do her mom duty. But I'm like, Mom, you didn't know because we don't openly talk about it. And now I feel like in the coaching space, I talk about it more openly than I ever have because there's such a lack of awareness that the more we can get the message out and the more we can talk to people and tell them it is okay to not be okay. There are ways. There are ways.
Yeah.
It becomes more normalized and people will talk about it.
I love that you're doing that because you're right. It just is a subject we need to keep talking about because just like you learned, there's other ways other than food or hiding
Correct.
that we can deal with it, but you don't know what you don't know.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Mhm. I know for me, success is never a straight line. And you talked about, the day that you got kicked out of yoga class, but were there other setbacks along the way or times that you wanted to quit? And how did you keep going?
Every single day. Those first like few weeks of walking to mailboxes, I remember there was a point that it was probably like within the first week of doing it, I'm like, this is too hard. I would rather die than have to pick up my leg one more time. And I remember just being like, whatever's gonna happen, happens. And then like again, that was the depression and anxiety talking, right? Because it was hard. I wasn't used to doing hard things. And I remember there was one night, and I wish I should have documented this journey better, but I didn't because I didn't know what I know now, right? But it was like within the first few weeks, I remember laying in bed and contemplating what will hurt worse? Will Does dying hurt or does walking 2 mailboxes tomorrow hurt worse? And contemplating which one I would rather choose. At that point, I knew that there was something in my brain that wasn't working well to be able to um, even think about dying in my 30s, at 33 years old dying. Like, wow. I mean, looking back at it now, like that's never an option for me, but I didn't know what I know now and I didn't grow like I've grown in the past, 2 or 3 years, but it was hard. There were a lot of setbacks. There were times where I had really bad like plantar fasciitis on the bottom of my foot because I was walking and my body didn't like that because it was carrying around a lot of weight. Um, there were times where I would start doing like, because again, I did all of my nutrition and fitness kind of on my own. And just reading and then applying. I remember like 6 or 7 months in, I was on a roll and losing weight, and I tweaked my diet just a little bit. And, when I use the word diet, I don't mean like diet. I mean diet as in like nutritional makeup, right? Not like short-term diet. Um, I had ended up gaining like 4 or 5 pounds, and I thought that was the end of the world. I'm like, "Here it all comes back. It's all coming back." And I did. For 2 days, I gave up. I'm like, "I'm not doing this anymore. This is too hard. I can't figure this out. Whatever will be, will be." And that's I mean, I already lost 60 pounds at that point. So, you know, it became a game with the scale and a game with my mind. For me, what worked, and I know, like, everyone has something different. So I always tell people whatever you are the most comfortable with. But for me, stepping on the scale every day was a necessity. I knew what kind of day I could have based on that scale. And if it was up, I knew my butt better be in the gym. And if it was down, I knew that I could have an apple or like another tasty treat that wasn't, ice cream or whatever. Throughout the entire time, I never ever deprived myself of what I wanted because I knew from other parts of my life and how I work The minute I'm told no, I'm gonna go do it. Like, how many times do you tell a kid, like, "Don't touch that," and then they just go touch it, right? So that
Yeah.
was me. I was the child, that when you said no, I'm gonna go do it. So throughout my journey of losing weight, I ate pizza, I ate chocolate cake, I ate the things that I wanted to eat, but I then made sure if I had pizza at night, I made sure there was an extra workout in there. If I had cake, like I went to somebody's birthday party, I'm not gonna go to somebody's birthday party and not have a piece of cake. If I had cake, I knew my butt was drinking an extra bottle of water and back in the gym or going for an extra walk. So it was a give and take for me. So again, I didn't deprive myself. I just made sure I balanced it. Um, but knowing more on how the body works when it loses weight and when the body makes adjustment, I know that in a weight loss journey, you are going to have gains back. You are going to have gains back. Um, that's when, losing fat and gaining muscle. Why isn't the scale moving? I learned all about that and the rate of muscle growth versus fat loss and learned how to do all of those equations so that I can make sure that I was eating an appropriate amount of protein, carbs, and fat to get the goal that I wanted, but yet also, give my body what it needed. So setbacks, definitely physical, setbacks, definitely weight gain, and I mean, every day was a setback that I had to overcome with my mindset and being depressed and not honoring myself for exactly where I was at. So that was a tough part until things became more consistent, more balanced, and as I got healthier as a person and did healing from the inside out, I was able to overcome that depression.
Yeah. What advice would you give? Because you sound like I didn't know you back then, and you sound like just a totally different person than you were then. What advice would you give yourself if you could go back all of those years and give Lisa on week 1? What would you say?
Just start. Just start somewhere.
Mm.
Just start somewhere. I was really close to not starting at all. I was really close to losing my life. It was almost too late for me. I got the chance. And so my advice if for someone in my shoes who has a ton of weight to lose and doesn't have a clue on where to start, just start. Find someone who believes in you more than you believe in you to
Yeah.
help you get started. I got lucky. I found that person right away. Before she even knew me, she believed in me more than I believed in myself. And so my advice would be just start. Just start. Find someone who believes in you more than you believe in you. And the other piece of advice I would give is start with the mindset stuff early. Start with the mindset shift. Hire a coach, grab a book, get some recommendations, find some groups of like-minded people that you can start to work on shifting your mindset and loving yourself again. Because if I would have loved myself back then, I would be so much further ahead than I am now. But it took me so long to love myself because I had such a belief that I was unlovable, not only from myself, but from others.
Yeah. Such great advice. I love all of that. And I know that a lot of our Orange Theory members, that's what has drawn them to Orange Theory. And that's why a lot have stayed, is because their coach believes in
Oh
them
gosh.
more than they believe in themselves, just what you're saying.
Huh?
And then the mindset, I can relate to that of when you have that feeling of not being good enough or not being lovable or whatever that story is that you're telling yourself, man, if you can change that early on, what
Mhm.
a gift it is to yourself and helping you become the person you're supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being able to change that mindset and do that mindset shift early on is a key to lasting success. A lot of people, we go through the cycle of weight loss. Just we go through the cycle of like our pain. And if you can break that cycle early on by shifting your mindset, your results and your up leveling in all parts of your life are going to happen much faster than if you're fighting that mindset piece all along. So shifting the mindset, the earlier you can do that, the better in whatever area of your life you're stuck in.
And I know that you have a whole coaching program around this, so we can't get into everything right now. But what is one thing, if somebody's sitting there and they're thinking, yeah, you know what? That's me. I'm struggling with that. What is one thing that they could do today to just get started?
I always tell people that number one thing that you have to do is to not give up on yourself. Even if you're the only one in this world that believes in you, you got one on your side and it's you. And so make a commitment to yourself that you're going to treat yourself and your body just the way you would treat your best friend, your mom, your child. Like, give yourself all of the love that you give to other people, pour it all back into you, love yourself, and figure out what your why is. Why do you want to make this change? For me, it was my life. I needed to make the change to save my life. And that was my why. Every day, I'm gonna live another year, I'm gonna live another year, I'm gonna live another year. I'm not gonna let this 6-month mark come by where the doctor said that I would be dead. Um, and I would pick one thing that you love to do, and for me, it was dance. And so that was the catalyst to get my body moving. So pick one thing that you like. If you're not somebody who likes to go on a treadmill, don't go on a treadmill because it's not gonna last. You're gonna be like, "I hate this just like I hated it the last time I did it," and you're gonna quit. So pick something that you love to move your body, whether that be outside walking in nature or hiking. Maybe you love to dance too. Find a dance class. Maybe you love to play volleyball. Go find an adult league. There's all over in in communities that you can find, adult recreation. So instead of feeling like the only way I'm going to lose weight is if I go into a gym and do this, 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 and this, and if you can find a buddy, if you can find an Orange Theory, or you can find a group fitness studio like mine where you have a bunch of people who will love on you and help you and motivate you through, that's even better.
Yeah. And I think we both see that the importance of a support system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of just it's so important in your health journey. We see people be successful, but also for me, and I'm guessing for you too, in your business and life journey of having a community. And then also I know we both have been a part of a mastermind before of just
Mhm.
people that will support you and how important that is to get you to be the person you want to be.
Absolutely. The support system is key. I could not have done it. I mean, now she's my best friend. At the time, she was my dance instructor. I could not have done it without her. I honestly do not think I would have been as successful had it not been for her. I really don't. So, like, I throw a lot of weight in having a support system or having that person who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. Because you can believe in yourself, and if you say you have confidence and you feel good about yourself, that's all fine and good, but there's gonna be the day that you don't,
Mhm.
and the day that you don't is when you need them. And so if
Yeah.
you have them in your back pocket, you have them on the days that you don't believe in yourself, because we all have those. I still have those, and I still call her, and she's like, "Remember when we went through this?" And I'm like, well, she'll take me back there. And I'm like, "Yes, I do."
Yes,
And so we all have bad days. It's
we
just
do.
how we choose to go forward on those bad days is what's gonna be a make or break.
Yeah, such good advice. And I know you have big things coming in 2024. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so much coming in 2024. The first thing though is, my podcast is launching at the end of this month. It's so exciting. At the end of April, beginning of May, it will launch. It's called Unstuck Yourself with Coach Lisa Humphrey. I would love to have you on as a guest, and I would love for everyone to tune in and just listen. This is something brand new for me. I'm so nervous about it, um, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to get the message out there to all of the people who just need to hear it. The second thing is I am launching in just a couple weeks my first ever weight loss coaching program. And it's really going to talk about why we are in cycles when it comes to weight loss. We lose it all and we gain it back, and we lose it all and we gain it back. And we jump on these fad diets and we jump on these exercise crazes that aren't getting us the long lasting results. And at the end of the day, it's not about what you're doing or what you're not doing. It's about where your head's at and the decisions that you're making and how you feel about yourself. So we're taking life coaching, we're taking nutrition, we're taking weight loss, and we're putting it all into one. and we're launching this incredible 12-week weight loss coaching program to help you get unstuck when it comes to your health. I'm super excited about that. I'm passionate about it. I've been there. I can relate. And I will always be in a weight loss journey. Always. I will always have to watch what I eat. And I can relate to those people who are on that spiral. So we're going to talk about how to break that cycle and really keep the weight off for good.
Oh, so good. You're going to help so many people of just change their lives for good. So I'm excited. I'm excited for your podcast. We will link to both of those things in the show notes, as well as you and your website and Instagram. So
Awesome.
thank you. I feel
Thank
like you're
you.
always qualified to help the person that you used to be. And so I see you doing that and just using your gifts, but also your journey to do it. And I love that about you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I just want to end with one last question.
Yeah.
I'm just starting. This is my new favorite question to end with is favorite book or books that you love?
Favorite books. On the business side, it's Book Yourself Solid. On the just warms my heart side, it's The Giving Tree.
Oh, okay, good. I have not heard of Book Yourself Solid, so that's what I'm going to get.
Yes.
Okay,
Good.
very good. Well, thank you so much. I
You.
appreciate your time and you telling your story. I really believe that you're going to help and inspire a lot of people in our audience.
Thank you.
Yeah. If this resonates with you and you have someone that you would love to share it with, please do that if it can help them. And also, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a 5-star review. Thanks for joining today.